Commander Zarath floated in the observation deck of the luminous dawn, her crystalline body refracting the starlight into dancing patterns across the walls. The war between the Vaeltar Confederation and the Cytherian Empire had raged for 3 cycles now, but it remained what her species called a gentle conflict, strategic, calculated, with minimal casualties and maximum preservation of cosmic harmony. That delicate balance was about to shatter. Commander, her aide, Fluxon, materialized beside her with the characteristic shimmer of their kind. The human delegation has arrived. Admiral Chen requests immediate audience. Zarath's internal light dimmed with dread. She had been dreading this moment since the humans had first intercepted their communications 3 stellar months ago. The bipedal species from the 3rd planet of Sol had only recently achieved faster than light travel, yet they possessed an alarming enthusiasm for what they called military intervention. "Send them to Conference Chamber 7, she said, her voice resonating through the ship's bioneural network. "And Fluxon? Activate the cultural dampening fields. We cannot afford any misunderstandings." 20 minutes later, Zarath faced Admiral Chen across a table that had been hastily modified to accommodate solid matter beings. The human's face bore the weathered lines of someone accustomed to conflict, and his eyes held an intensity that made Zarath's photonic core flutter uneasily. "Commander Zarath," Chen began, his translator device rendering his words into harmonic frequencies her species could understand. "The United Earth Fleet stands ready to assist the Vaeltar Confederation in your righteous struggle against Cytherian aggression." "Admiral Chen," Zarath replied carefully, "we appreciate humanities. However, this conflict operates under very different parameters than your species might expect." Chen frowned. "Commander, we've studied your tactical reports. The Cytherians have occupied 17 of your outer colonies. In human terms, this would constitute a clear act of war, requiring immediate and overwhelming response." Zarath exchanged a harmonic pulse with Fluxon roughly equivalent to a human sigh. "Admiral, when you say occupied, what exactly do you envision?" "Military invasion, civilian displacement, resource extraction," Chen said, leaning forward, "the standard playbook of an aggressive empire." "I see." Zarath activated the chamber's holographic display, showing a Cytherian occupation in progress. On the screen, elegant beings of living metal moved through a Vaeltar colony like flowing mercury, their forms shifting and adapting as they integrated with the crystalline inhabitants. "This is Outpost Harmony 7 during its occupation," Zarath explained. "As you can see, the Cytherians are sharing space with our colonists. They require different atmospheric conditions and energy frequencies, so they've created parallel infrastructure. Our people continue their research into stellar photosynthesis, while the Cytherians pursue their studies of quantum consciousness." Chen stared at the display. "Where's the conflict?" "We disagree on the optimal frequency for long-range communication," Fluxon interjected. "The Cytherians prefer 847.3 terahertz. We favor 849.1 terahertz. The human admiral's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. "You're fighting a war over radio frequencies?" "Not just radio frequencies," Zarath clarified. "Also, stellar cartography standards, proper protocols for greeting newly discovered sentient crystals, and the correct pronunciation of the galaxy's true name." Chen stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the deck. "Commander, with respect, this isn't a war. This is a cosmic neighborhood dispute. Precisely why human intervention would be catastrophic," Zarath said, her form brightening with urgency. "Admiral, your species approaches conflict with remarkable decisiveness. You build weapons designed to destroy, not to negotiate. You think in terms of victory and defeat, not harmony and balance." "Sometimes victory and defeat are necessary," Chen argued. Sometimes you have to fight for what's right. But who determines what's right? Zarath asked. In human conflicts, you fight until one side surrenders or is destroyed. In our conflicts, we fight until we reach a more beautiful understanding of existence. The Admiral paced to the observation window, staring out at the distant flashes of light that marked the battle zones, actually elaborate dance performances, where Velta and Catherian forces expressed their disagreements through synchronized movements that sometimes lasted for days. Admiral, Zarath continued, 3 days ago, the Catherian Third Harmony Fleet performed a particularly elegant interpretation of why our navigation protocols were insufficient. Our Second Radiant Squadron responded with a counter-performance, demonstrating the superior aesthetic of our approach. The entire exchange was quite moving. Several neutral observers reportedly achieved transcendence. Chen turned back to her. And you call this war? The most important kind of war, Fluxen added. A war of ideas, of perspectives, of finding the most beautiful truth among many possibilities. But what if you can't reach agreement? Chen asked. Then we continue the dance until we do, Zarath replied. Or until the universe itself suggests a new approach. Sometimes conflicts resolve when both sides discover they were asking the wrong questions entirely. The human admiral was quiet for several moments, his mechanical mind clearly struggling with concepts his species had never needed to develop. Finally, he spoke. Commander, what happens if human battleships join this dance? Zarath's light dimmed to almost nothing. Admiral, your weapons don't create beautiful questions. They create silence. Permanent, absolute silence. If human warships enter this conflict, the dance stops. The questions stop. The possibility of transcendent understanding dies, and in its place. She paused, searching for words his translator could render meaningfully. In its place comes the kind of ending your species understands. Final. Irreversible. Empty. Chen stared out at the dancing lights again, watching weapons that were actually artistic instruments create patterns that were simultaneously battles and poetry. For the love of the stars, he whispered, finally understanding. Keep human battleships out of this war. Zarath's form brightened with relief as the Admiral requested transport back to his ship, promising to recommend against human intervention. As his shuttle departed, she allowed herself a moment of hope that some conflicts were still too beautiful for destruction to touch.